Psychologists have identified some common styles of thinking that we know are unhelpful. We also know that when stressed, we are much more likely to be engaging in these unhelpful thinking patterns. It is important to remember that we all fall foul of negative thinking from time to time. However, it's best to keep these patterns in check, as they can be associated with anxiety and depression. It is important to remember that we all do this sometimes, but it can get out of hand if we let it run rampant. Black and white thinking. This refers to our tendency to think in very rigid all or nothing terms and exclude the grey areas. For example, feeling upset after a difficult job or call and thinking, "I'm not cut out for this job," or missing a target and thinking, "I'm a failure." This rigid way of thinking means that we find adapting to challenges difficult. Fortune telling. This refers to our tendency to think that we can predict the future, and we often predict the worst. For example, saying things like, "I know it's going to be one of those days today," or "I'm not going for promotion because I know I won't get it. I wouldn't know how to deal with that if it happened." Fortune telling keeps us anxious about the future and stops us from living in the present. Catastrophizing. We all have a slight dramatic flair at times. Catastrophizing refers to our tendency to blow things out of proportion. We might find ourselves thinking, "That's the worst possible thing that could ever have happened," or thinking, "I'm getting fired if the boss wants to speak to you." Catastrophizing keeps us focused on unlikely worst-case scenarios, which is distressing. Mind reading. Mind reading is just as it sounds. It's our tendency to think that we know what others are thinking. For example, "I know my boss thinks I'm not doing a good enough job," or "If I ask for a shift change, people will think I'm annoying." Mind reading stops us from living in the real world and transports us to a fantasy reality that we have created for ourselves. We all think like this at times. It's perfectly normal. But too much negative thinking can really keep us anxious or get us down if it gets out of hand.